Hello! In today's video we're going to be doing a very simple character. This is Dream and this is from a Minecraft SMP, and what we're going to do is we're going to make this character, and it does not take much at all to make him. What we're going to do is go through the materials that I used to create him, and it's a really simple pattern, so he won't take long to make. It only takes 2 colors of yarn to make this. Primarily everything's going to be done in white, and then just a little bit of black, just a scrap piece of black yarn that you have, because all we're going to do is use it just to put a little smile on his face. I'm also going to be using a 3.25mm crochet hook, pair of scissors, stitch marker, some small safety eyes, and then just polyfill and a yarn needle. So we've got all our materials, and let's get started on the head. And we're going to start off making our magic ring. So let's start off getting the magic ring and then single crocheting 6 stitches into our magic ring. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I'll just give that a little tug to close it up, and then I'll pull it tighter after the next round. This just makes it easier to get into that first stitch for round 2. So at the end of round 1, we have 6 single crochets into our magic ring. For round 2, we're going to do an increase round. We're going to increase from 6 stitches to 12, and to do that we are just going to single crochet two stitches in each stitch. So just go around all 6 stitches and place 2 single crochet in each one. And there's 6, 8, 10, and 12. And now I'll pull my tail just a little bit tighter, and that'll get that closed up. And so we've got our 12 stitches, and in round 3 we're going to increase from 12 to 18. We are on round 3, and we're going to increase from 12 stitches to 18. And our pattern to complete that will be to do an increase in our first stitch, and then a single crochet in our next. And we'll just complete the whole entire round doing that pattern. So we'll have an increase, and then in the next stitch a single crochet. And that will work it from 12 stitches to 18. So we've got our increase, single crochet, and we're already almost to the end. And here is our final increase for round 3, and we'll just pop out our stitch marker, and we've got our single crochet. And so we are up to 18 stitches, and we'll be increasing from 18 to 24 in round 4. On to round 4, and we're going to increase to 24 stitches. Our pattern will be to increase in our first stitch, and then to single crochet 1 in the next 2 stitches. So again, we're going to do an increase followed by 1 single crochet and another single crochet. We've got our increase, then 1 and 2. We're about halfway around. Increase, then 1 and 2. Got our increase, And then we are ready to do our last stitches. So we've got our last increase, and then 1 and 2. Okay, so we are up to 24 stitches, and next we're going to do another increase round, and that'll be going from 24 stitches up to 30, and that'll be in round 5. Let's get started on round 5. And in round 5 we're increasing to 30 stitches from 24, and we're going to go ahead and increase in our first stitch and then single crochet 1 in the next 3 stitches. So our pattern will be to do an increase followed by 3 single crochet. So there's 1, 2, and let me do that one more time, 3. We've got our increase, 1, 2, 3, and we'll just keep going. Increase, there's 2, 3, coming around towards the end, increase, 1, 2, 3. We're on our last increase for round 5. And then we've got 1, 2, and 3. We are going to be doing one more increase after this round, but we are now at 30 stitches, and in round 6, which will be our last increase round for the head, we will be going from 30 to 36 stitches. We are ready for our final increase round on the head, and we're going from 30 stitches to 36. And our pattern will be to start off with our increase in our first stitch, followed by 4 single crochet in the next stitches. Okay, so we'll do our increase, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Increase. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like all the other patterns, just one more single increase added in. All right, coming around towards the end. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. Our final increase. And then there's 1, 2, 3. Pop our stitch marker out, and 4. So we are doing great. We've got up to 36 stitches, and we are finished with row 6. And next we're going to be working on rows 7 through 11. And those are really easy because they are just 5 rows of single crocheting 1 in each row. So let's get through rows 7 through 11. And that again is just one single crochet in each stitch all the way around for 5 rows. So if you have anything you'd like to watch, a video, or just put on some music for a moment, this would be a great time to do it. It's just kind of a relaxing time. And what we'll do is we will meet up once we are both done with our 5 rounds of single crochet. And then we'll start working on our decrease rounds after that. So keep working on rows 7 through 11, and once you're done, we'll meet back up and keep going from there. We've completed rows 7 through 11, so now we're going to start on our decrease rounds. And on row 12, we're going to go ahead and decrease from 36 stitches down to 30. And I do the invisible decrease by placing my hook under the front loop of the first stitch, the front loop of the second stitch, pulling through those 2 loops, and then pulling through again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet 1 in the next 4 stitches. And again, my invisible decrease is to go through the front loop of the first stitch, front loop of the second stitch, pull through, and then pull through again. And then 1, 2, 3, and whoops, let's go through that one more time for our 4th. Okay, so there we go. That's our pattern. Decrease followed by 4 single crochets. Decrease, then 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the nice thing about decreases is as we go, everything goes much faster since there's so much less to work with. 2, 3, 4, and then got our decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, got our last decrease for round 12, and then 1, 2, 3, and get our stitch marker out, and 4. Okay, so we are down to 30 stitches, and in our next round we're going to decrease down to 24 stitches, and that'll be round 13. And then we'll work on getting our safety eyes in. So we'll be back for round 13. We are on round 13, and we're decreasing down to 24 stitches from 30, and our pattern will be to do our decrease and then a single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. So we've got our decrease, and you can definitely do whichever decrease works best for you. I just have gotten such a habit of doing the invisible decrease that it just is the first kind that I think of. So we'll get our decrease, and then 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, almost to the end, 2, 3. Okay. Final decrease. 1, 2, and then we are on 3. All right, so we are down to 24 stitches, and next we're going to go ahead and put in our safety eyes. We're ready to put in our safety eyes, and I like to put mine in between rows 7 and 8 with a count of 9 visible stitches apart. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. And that's how I do my spacing, because the eyes for Dream are pretty far apart. And so what we'll do is we'll count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So right in here. So we'll put our first one, I'll just kind of mark where I can see it. And get that one placed in. And then what I'll do is just count the little spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And with the size of these safety eyes, that should be all it takes, is just going over one more. So there we go. We've got our safety eyes in, and they're spaced far enough apart. So we'll just go ahead and pop on the backs. Now if you don't want to use safety eyes, you don't have to. You can just go ahead and use yarn or embroidery floss to stitch on the eyes. But I'm going to just go ahead and use safety eyes today. And now we'll go ahead and start on row 14, where we're going to decrease from 24 stitches down to 18. We're on row 14, and what we're going to do is decrease from 24 stitches down to 18, and we'll just do our decrease followed by a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And it'll start going pretty quickly for the rounds now. So we've got our decrease, and then a single crochet and a single crochet. Okay. 1, 2, decrease, and 2. Oh, it popped out. Let's go ahead. There we go. And we're already coming up on the end of the round. There's 1, 2, our final decrease. And what we're going to do next is, now that we are down to 18 stitches, we're next going to get some stuffing added in before we continue on with our decreases. So I've got my polyfill, and I'm just going to really start adding in a good amount, not to fill it up too much. We will still have a little more time to fill it before we get everything closed up, but just to get a great start on this. And I really want to focus on getting it in between and around those safety eyes, and they can be kind of troublesome spots as far as kind of being distorted after you're all done. So we just really want to get that pushed all the way through. And like I said, we don't have to stuff it all the way to the very top, but just get enough that it makes it a little bit easier just to hold on to while you're working on these last couple rounds. Okay, so we've got some stuffing in, and we are now going to decrease from 18 stitches down to 12, and that'll be in round 15. This is row 15, and we are going to be decreasing from 18 stitches down to 12. And our pattern will be to do a decrease followed by a single crochet. Okay, so we'll just get our decrease, single crochet, and this round should go by pretty quickly as we're down quite a few stitches. So we've got decrease, single crochet, our final decrease, and single crochet. And then what we'll do is we'll just add a little bit more stuffing in. So I'm just getting a little more stuffing added in and really getting it to be the shape that I want. Again, we'll be doing another decrease, our last decrease round, but as we go, if we still think we need a little more stuffing, we'll have a chance to put that in then too. We are on round 16, which is our last round for the head, and all we're going to do is decrease 6 times in a row. But first we're going to decrease 3 times. And then after the 3rd time, what we're going to do is just check to see how we're doing on stuffing and if we want another chance just to add a little bit more. So there are 3 decreases in a row, and next what we'll do is I'm going to add just a little more stuffing. I'll just take my hook, just going to use that to add just a little bit more, and then we'll just decrease the last 3 and then be able to sew up the end. But that should do it, maybe just a little bit more. It's amazing how much these things can take for stuffing. So we've got 3 more decreases, and then we'll cut off a length of tail and just sew the last little bit closed. So there we go, there's our 4th decrease, our 5th, and this will be our 6th. Okay, yep, the last one has to give me the most trouble. Okay, and then what I'll do is I will just put a slip stitch in the next stitch, take a tail, and then what we'll do is let's just grab our yarn needle and we'll get that threaded. And what I do is I just, for each of the 6 remaining stitches left, I just come in from behind and just pull through. There's 4, 5, and 6, and then I just pull it really tight, take my needle and just kind of go and weave it in and out of the head a few times. And then we'll go ahead and just trim that off and just kind of squeeze it a little bit. And there we go. We've got our eyes, we've got our head, and we'll work on the body next, and the very last thing will be just to put on his little smile. So we've got the head all complete. Let's get started on the body. So we're ready to start on the body, and the body has a total of 23 rounds. And we are going to start off with our first round with our magic ring. And we are going to crochet 6 single crochet into our magic ring. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we'll go ahead and pull that closed. And that is round 1 with 6 single crochet, and in round 2 we're going to increase into up to 12. We're on round 2 of our body, and what we're going to do is increase in each of the 6 stitches. So 2 single crochet in each stitch around. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and we've got 12. And then we'll pull our tail a little tighter to really make sure that's closed up. And so we now have 12 stitches, and in round 3 we're going to increase to 18 stitches. We're on round 3, and we shall be increasing from 12 stitches to 18, and our pattern will be to increase in our first stitch and then single crochet 1 in the next stitch. So again, our pattern is to do an increase followed by 1 single crochet. We've got our increase and our single crochet, increase, and then 1 and increase, and then we're on our last single crochet. And so we're now up to 18 stitches. We're next going to work on rows 4 through 6, where we're going to single crochet 1 in each stitch. Okay, let's get started on rows 4 through 6, and they're real easy. We're just going to single crochet 1 in each stitch for those 3 rounds. And what I'll do is I will have you complete the 3 rounds, and then once we're done, we'll meet back up and then get ready to continue on with the body. We are now on row 7, and what we're going to do is we're going to increase from 18 stitches to 24. And we're going to start off increasing in our first stitch and then single crocheting 2 after our increase. So what we'll do is we'll do an increase and then a single crochet and a single crochet. And that pattern one more time is an increase followed by a single crochet and a single if I can keep my yarn on the hook, there we go. And so we'll just keep working this pattern all the way around. We've got our increase, 1, 2, final increase, 1 and 2. So that is row 7, and we are now up to 24 stitches. Now for rows 8 through 12, we're going to single crochet 1 in each stitch for 5 rounds. And I'll have you go ahead and crochet 1 in each, and then once you're done with round 12, we'll meet back up for round 13. We've completed rows 8 through 12, which was placing a single crochet in each of the 24 stitches for 5 rounds. So we are ready for round 13, which is an increase round. So what we're going to do is we're going to increase from 24 stitches to 30, and we'll increase in our first stitch followed by 3 single crochet. And this is our final increase for the body. So again, we've got our increase followed by 1, 2, 3. We've got our increase, 1, 2, 3. Increase, 1, 2, 3. Coming around to the end, and then 1, 2, 3. Final increase. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay, that is the end of row 13, and we are now up to 30 stitches. We're now going to be working on rows 14 through 18. And what we're going to do is single crochet 1 in each of the 30 stitches for another 5 rounds. So we will meet back up after we've finished row 18, which is just going through 5 rounds of single crochet again, and then we'll be ready to start on row 19. We've completed rows 14 through 18, and we're ready to start on row 19. For row 19, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch again, but we're going to do that in the back loop only. And so what we do is, instead of coming through both of the loops, we're just going to go through the back one and place our single crochet. And we'll do that in all 30 stitches. And once we complete all 30 stitches in the back loop only, we'll meet up for our first decrease round. We are on round 20, and we are now going to start our first decrease round, which we're going to go from 30 stitches down to 24. And to do that, we're going to use the pattern of a decrease in the first stitch, followed by 3 single crochet. And again, that will be starting with a decrease, and then 1, 2, 3. Decrease, 1, 2, 3. And after this row, we will be putting in some stuffing. And then we'll just keep stuffing as we continue our decrease rounds. Okay, a couple more. So there's our decrease. 1, 2, 3. And our final decrease, 1, 2, and 3. And so we are now down to 24 stitches, and this was row 20, and we will next be putting some stuffing in. So I've got stuffing in, but I don't want to stuff it too much because I want this bottom stitches to lay flat, and so that way it'll have where it just goes down the body and then cuts straight across. That way it makes it easier for the little amigurumi to stand up. So I've got some stuffing in, and we're going to start round 21, where we're going to decrease down to 18 stitches. And again, we will slowly be able to add any extra stuffing in as we go. So let's get started on row 21, which is our decrease round that takes us from 24 stitches to 18. And our pattern will be to decrease in our first stitch and then single crochet 1 in the next 2 stitches. So that'll be decrease, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet. Again, we're going to decrease, and then we'll follow that by a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Decrease, 1 and 2. We've got our decrease, 1, 2, and we are on our final, final decrease, and this is for round 21, and we will now be down to 18 stitches, and we are just about done. We're going to now start on round 22, where we're going to decrease from 18 stitches down to 12, and then we'll just have one more decrease round after that. We're on row 22, and we're going to decrease from 18 stitches down to 12. Now if you'd like to, you can add a little more stuffing before starting this round, but otherwise we're going to just do a decrease, and that's followed by 1 single crochet. Decrease, single, there we go, single crochet, and then we've got decrease and 1, and we're halfway through row 22, decrease, 1, let's get that, there we go, decrease, oh goodness, let's try that one more time. We've got 1, and then we've got our decrease and our final stitch for round 22. Okay, so just make sure that this is kind of able to lay flat and there's not too much stuffing in, and you'll have another chance before we start round 23 to add some more stuffing in. And then what we'll do on round 23 is we'll work our decreases about halfway, check it, and then finish the decreases. So we are down to 12 stitches, and in round 23, our last round, we'll be going down to 6. We're on our last round, and what we're going to do is just decrease in all of our stitches. So let's decrease 3 times in a row. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And let's take a look and see, do we want any more stuffing for the body? And I'm going to go ahead and just leave it as it is. So you can either add some more stuffing now, or we can just go ahead and just keep decreasing. And to decrease, it's just 3 more decreases in a row. And then what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and slip stitch in the following stitch, and then just cut off a tail for sewing. And so we are at the very end, so I'm just going to slip stitch and cut off my tail for sewing, pull my hook out, grab the yarn needle back up, and then once again just come in behind those stitches and then once you've got all of the stitches all the way around, let's get that last one, we'll just pull it nice and tight and then we'll just bring our yarn up through the body. And I just want to pull this so it wants to lay flat, and what I might do is just come through a couple times and just that way to kind of pull it so it wants to stay down, so when we get it, it just stands up. And you can go ahead and do this whichever way works best for you. This is just the way I'm used to doing it, but we have now got the body all done. And what we'll do next is we will go ahead and attach the head onto the body. And then once that's done, we'll just put the little smile on, and that is all it takes to get this little guy made. So we're ready to attach the head to the body, and I cut off a length of yarn for sewing. And then how I like to sew this on is I've got the head sewn on, not at the very top, but what I'm doing is I'm sewing it on instead of right here at the top, more along about the third or fourth row down. And that way it doesn't sit right at the very tippy top, but it kind of gets pushed down. His body is kind of like a little blob, and so I just kind of tried to squish it down just a little bit. Now you can place the head on however you want. I was just trying to give you an idea of how I went about doing it. And so I'm just going to bring my yarn up through the head and back down. And so I'm not going to be at the very center, but kind of a couple rounds out. And then I'm just going to come through between 1, 2, 3, and 4 and sew in through there. And the way I'm going to sew the head on is pretty much just coming from the head into the body and then back up and just back and forth all the way around. Now you may have a much easier way of sewing on parts. That's just the way I'm going to go ahead and put it on. And then once you get your head sewn on, we'll meet back, and then we will go ahead and put that little smile on, and that's pretty much everything we need to do for this little guy. So we are ready to get the little smile sewn on, and where I put my smile is if you come from where the eyes are between rows 7 and 8, and you come down to 2 rows below that, right under the eyes. This one's not quite under, but this one's like right here under the eye. And what I do is I start there, I come across to the other side, and I should have came a little further over. And then what I do is I then bring the yarn through and split the yarn in half and then bring it down to hold it 1 row below that to try to give it a little bit of a smile. So I'll try to show how I do this. So I will come up through the head with my black yarn, and I will come, so here's the eye, not the stitch or not the row right after, but the one after that. I'll come through there, pull it through, come through the other side, and then come down to the middle of the row after that. And so what we'll do is we'll pull that, and that pretty much gives him a straight line, but we want to give it a little bit of a smile. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it down just a little bit. And what I just kind of try to do to give it a clean look is I try to come up and kind of split the yarn in half. And then just come through the same stitch that I originally came through. And I hope that makes some sense. And then what it does, it just kind of gives it the smile, and you don't really see anything going through it. It just gives it one smooth, consistent line. And then basically just weave the yarn through the head a little bit. I'll do that for both this main tail and then the shorter tail. And let's grab that. And that is pretty much everything it takes to make up the little dream character. I play Minecraft, but I gotta say I'm not as familiar with this. I've learned about these characters through one of my daughters who's really into it. And so I decided one day just to make a little dream character up. And I thought, well, this is really simple. I'll go ahead and, whoops, let me just get back on camera. I'll just go ahead and make a quick tutorial on how I made it up. Just kind of squish it so those little black tails go right in. And we now have our two little dreams. And I didn't use any special yarn to make these up. Actually, the yarn, both the white and the black, came from the Dollar Tree. And so, yeah, these things are quick and cheap to make. And then just use some small safety eyes, and again, you can just sew them on or use some felt, anything you want to do. So I hope you like the tutorial, and if you do make any of these, please let me see pictures of what you made. You can send it to my Instagram, and I'll have that posted. So I hope you have a great day. Thank you.